Excuse me. Well, good Wednesday morning, everyone. Just as the camera starts, I start to choke. That's not good. Anyway, good Wednesday morning, everyone. It is November 17th, 2021, and we have made it to the 11th chapter of John's Gospel. So we are going to look at the first 16 verses of John's, or the 11th chapter of John's Gospel. Gosh, I can't talk today. Not that I can ever. But this is the story, or at least the beginning of the story. We're going to continue the story on for a couple days. This is the story about Jesus and the resurrection of Lazarus. So Jesus, if you remember where we left him off yesterday, he's up by the Jordan baptizing, where John was baptizing. And if there's a continuity of this story, if there's no break here and he's not gone someplace else in the interim, he's about 30 miles distance from Bethany, which is right outside of Jerusalem. Probably, actually, really, to us, we would think it was part of Jerusalem. Bethlehem, for crying out loud, it feels like it's just a hop, skip, and a jump. To us, used to having towns that, suburb type things. It doesn't feel like you're going to a different place when you go to Bethlehem from Jerusalem today. So Bethany it's right next to Jerusalem. So he just got kicked out of Jerusalem and left and went these 30 miles distance. And now he's up there by the river, and now someone has come running back, sent by Mary and Martha, to go and fetch him and find him and bring him back to help out Lazarus. So it's a fair walk. I mean, 30 miles, 3 miles an hour, that's 10 hours of walking. They probably walk faster than most of us today. But it's, even at least an 8-hour walk. And you got to remember, you wouldn't say, okay, he's at the intersection of this and this. So an exact location, who knows exactly where in that area Jesus is at. So trying to find him. So it's not just an easy little stint for this guy going. Of course, now this fellow may have been, virtually a marathoner, and if that's the case, then he probably made it in less time. But Jesus walking back with a group of people, it's probably an 8-hour walk at least to get back to Jerusalem. So that's the logistics, I guess, of what we're looking at here today as far as distance and travel and all of that. So let's take a look at verses 1 through 16 in the 11th chapter of John's Gospel. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Martha and her sister, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother, Lazarus, was ill. So the sisters sent a message to Jesus, Lord, he whom you love is ill. But when Jesus heard it, he said, the illness does not lead to death. This illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Accordingly, though, Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. After having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Then after this he said to the disciples, let us go to Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, the Jews were just now trying to stone you, and you are going there again? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Those who walk during the day do not stumble because they see the light of this world. But those who walk at night stumble because the light is not in them. After saying this, he told them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to waken him. The disciples said to him, Lord, if he has fallen asleep, he will be all right. Jesus, however, had been speaking about his death, but they thought he was referring merely to sleep. Then Jesus told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. For your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him. Thomas, who was called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, let us also go, that we may die with him. Okay. And again, this is the only place specifically anyone by name is Jesus says that he loves them, or it's stated that he loves them. So, but this is not agape love, it's philo. It's It's a deep friendship. There's a bond there, there's friendship, mutual admiration for one another. So it's not, the Greek word is not agape, it's philo here that's used, that form of love. We've talked about that in sermons before here. But again, they have sent him, this runner or this messenger, 30 miles distant to track down Jesus and bring him back. But Jesus is, well, he's sick. Jesus knew, apparently Jesus must have known about it. He says, we're gonna wait a couple days before we go. And the evidence that this may very well be a continuity of timeline is that they're saying, hey, you were just in Jerusalem and they wanted to stone you. And if you remember, he left and walked through basically the group in Jerusalem miraculously and was able to go away unscathed after the incident that we talked about yesterday and before in the temple. So I think it probably is a continuity of timeline. So Jesus here, though, says we're going to wait, and he says it's for your benefit, and that's an interesting thing that we'll talk about more tomorrow. What does he mean by that? Because surely, Jesus has raised other people from the dead. He has shown them that they have witnessed this before. So what is the thing with why this? What's different here? Well, like I said, we'll talk about that tomorrow, about what is different about this resurrection, this bringing back the dead from other scenes that Jesus has done with people. But the point I want to leave you with today is that here Jesus knows that going back to Jerusalem is going to be fraught with danger, and he doesn't shirk that danger at all. He knows that there is going to be a pushback, so to say. There is going to be resistance, we might say, to him to go there, and it's dangerous and it's perilous. But he's fearless about this. He understands that doing the work of God requires us sometimes to take risks, and we would do well to remember that. Very unlikely are we here in Iowa going to be faced with physical risks by doing the work of God, but we may be faced with financial risk. We may be faced with reputation risk, perhaps, or some other risks. We have to take a chance sometimes. We have to put it out there, and that we would do well to remember that this is not a riskless thing that we are doing. We are going to have to assume some exposure to some form of harm, no matter what that might come in order to spread the word of God. It might just be being embarrassed. We have to risk being embarrassed or something. So think about that when you say, I don't want to do that. It's too hard. It's too hard for Jesus. And the other thing we want to look at here is Thomas, who at the end of this, Thomas, who is called the twin, and some scholars believe that Thomas was actually Jesus' twin. I don't know. But many do believe that he is one of Jesus' brothers. I do think that he's probably one of Jesus' brothers. But I don't know that he's Jesus' twin. I don't see any support for that. But I do see some indications that he might be his brother. And if that's the case, he is a very brave man. But he says, he is we call him the doubting Thomas, but here he says, let us also go that we may die with him. He doesn't sound like he's not all in there, does he? He's all in. He believes in this ministry. He's not a doubting Thomas at all. He might be doubting. He might be doubting at the later as we get to that. But we'll deal with that when we get to that. But here he is one of the bravest of the brave. Let's go. If we have to die doing God's work, we'll die doing God's work. He is certainly someone we should look up to and have respect for his courage and try to do our best to emulate that courage. At least, like I said, here in Iowa, probably not asked to risk our life and limb, but we do have to risk something. So with that, I'm going to let you go for the day. Please have a blessed day. Tomorrow, don't forget, we do have drive-through communion this week. During Thanksgiving week, though, we won't have drive-through communion, and I probably, though, will still post up, tomorrow I will post up a song at the end of the day. Tomorrow or next week, I'm planning to, at 7 o'clock, break away from the family and post up something for you all on that Thursday. But I won't be doing the drive-through communion. So with that, I'm going to let you go for today. Have a blessed day, and please be a blessing to someone today. See you all in the morning. Bye-bye.